Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our last edition of CANTO Conversations for 2021. My name is Teresa Wankin, and it's my pleasure to be moderating this session with Kevin Marg of Integra Touch. Kevin is the founder and CEO of Integra Touch and brings over 30 years of innovation and integration experience in delivering world-class operations and billing support systems to the telecom industry. He is also the engine behind the famous Symphony, which was recognized by Gartner as the world-class billing, OSS, billing carrier, and roaming policy management and data streaming solutions. Kevin and his team has been providing cutting-edge IT services to customers in the region since 2002. In addition to being a member of CANTO, Kevin is an active member of TM Forum, where his team won the Best Innovation Award for its steering roaming, telco data space, also partnering with Vodafone and Orange at the 2021 Digital Transformation World Series. Kevin and team, welcome to CANTO Conversations.
Thank you, Teresa, Jim, Andrea, for making this webinar happen. I really appreciate all the effort you put into it, the organization, the promotion, and to the CANTO region, the members that are joining us here today. I didn't realize this is the last, so we're closing out with a bang, hopefully. Hopefully everyone finds this worthwhile. And it sets the stage, really. The timing is actually rather perfect when you think about where we're at in the year, closing out 2021, planning for 2022. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to get into the presentation.
Yes, and we're really excited to have you guys come and share with us. So just to go, while you're bringing up your presentation, just to go over some housekeeping notes, remember to keep your microphones on mute. Post your questions in the chat. Kevin will share, after he shares his presentation, he will answer all of your questions. So Kevin?
Okay, with that, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you and welcome everyone. So today we're going to talk about transformation and collaboration, as Teresa mentioned, and we're going to discuss complete telco transformation and how you might achieve that via an over-the-top convergent BSS, OSS revenue management billing solution. Teresa touched upon my background and my history. In additional few comments, I started my career in research and development with AT&T Bell Labs. I have a blend of experience working, alongside of folks like yourself on the carrier and operator side with AT&T, Verizon, Vodafone, to name a few. And then in 2002, I transitioned over to the technology and services side and founding Integra Touch. We're also involved in a few other organizations, channel partners, and Mobile World Congress. We're hopeful that there will be a in-person show this coming February. So we'll just have to hold our breath and wait for that. A bit about Integra Touch before we get into the subject at hand. I think it's really important for you, if you're spending an hour with us today, understanding who we are and what we're about. A key takeaway is that we are a full service technology partner. Certainly we'll speak to how a single stack in Symphony BSS OSS billing solution could aid you in your transformation efforts. But we're also very adept with integration development services, managed operation services, as well as virtualization. So we really have the four pillars covered to really work and collaborate with any member of the CANTO region and defining the best strategy, because there is no one best strategy to achieve your transformation goals and objectives. We are active in the CANTO region. Here's a list about current clients. They span both the CANTO region as well as around the globe. But in the CANTO region specifically, we're doing work with Telem Group and Dolphin Communications. So why Integra Touch? Who are we? What are we about? Or pedigree, as I like to characterize it. Again, we're both a software and an operations provider. Teresa mentioned that we were recognized by Gartner as a top viable integrated revenue and customer management solution. One of the reasons that they really liked us is because not only are we a software provider, but we're an operations provider as well. We manage on behalf of our clients over $8 billion annually, supporting 40+ million active billable subscribers. So scale, efficiencies and operations are near and dear to us. We have twin operating centers here in the United States, 24/7, 365. They will be open through the holidays. We manage a couple thousand environments. My wife and I founded the company in 2002, and this is another key point. We are privately held. We're a family-owned company. Our core values align with the CANTO region. We do what we say we're going to do. We're not afraid of a short-term relationship. We believe if we do right by our clients, there's no reason to be afraid of a short-term deal. We really do consider ourselves the antithesis, of the mega technology providers. And please don't take that the wrong way. We work with and collaborate with the very large technology providers. We're all in this together. Just know that when you're talking about IntegriTouch, that we look out for your best interests, and with that, our best interests will be rewarded as well. Teresa touched upon a few of these items. In 2019, before COVID hit, we were part of the innovation trail with TM Forum, where we bridge customer, network, and partner data in a single pane of glass. And then in the United States, we were recognized as one of the fastest growing privately held companies by Inc. 5000. So enough about IntegriTouch. Let's talk about what's going on in the industry. What are we seeing? We're active in the associations. We speak to members like yourselves, as well as carriers around the world. So 4G and 5G, there's a lot of speak around 4G and 5G, and it really is a collection of technologies. The key is, how do you transform that into services? What can you as a carrier do to leverage the investments you're making in 4G and ultimately 5G in the coming years to really transform communications in the CANTO region? There's a lack of agility and flexibilities, in your ability to quickly launch new products and services. The customers are in the driver's seat. They have more options available to them today, so they demand and they expect more. Disparate systems or siloed systems are an impediment. You've invested hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in legacy systems. The problem is they lack the full integration that you need to truly provide a seamless turnkey customer experience. In a lot of ways, they're an island unto themselves. Data, it's all about the data. How can you get better if you don't understand the data? So again, back to the siloed systems being an impediment, it's hard to put together a cohesive strategy, based upon your data and analytics when you're lacking the data or accurate data to drive your business. And no doubt about it, margins are declining, and they will hinder growth. And when you look at this visual here, hopefully, hopefully, maybe unfortunately, this might resonate with some of you. Think of it, all of those square, unconnected squares as being disparate systems. All right, and what we're going to talk about today is how you can basically meld them together. So the call to action is truly now. So what are we seeing in Latin America? We're seeing continued investment in 4G. 5G is on the horizon. It's not there yet necessarily in the CANTO region, but the technology investment is going to drive greater subscriber penetration, increase smartphone adoption. It's going to provide alternatives to perhaps your dial-up high-speed internet or fiber-based internet. So how do you monetize the investments that you're going to be making in the new technology mix? What we're recommending is your investment in your BSS, OSS, billing and revenue management. They must be an enabler, not a roadblock or a hindrance. As a business, telecom, the acquisition costs are quite high relative to, different vertical markets. So you're challenged with, how can I drive down my acquisition costs? Well, you reflect, well, what are my customer self-service? What does that experience look like, right? So as part of your transformation strategy, it's all about the customer. And with that, that will help drive your acquisition costs down. This next slide represents, basically what benefits can you expect to realize, or what would you hope to realize with the hyperconverged infrastructure? And I really took I highlighted really the top 6 or 7 here. Operational efficiency. We talk about margins declining and eroding. Well, improve the efficiencies. Drive your costs down. You need to increase your scale and efficiencies. The service and support that you provide to your customers and your partners. Reduce your integration efforts. And agility, accelerate your deployment time for new products and services. All of these with the hyperconverged infrastructure, and I profess to you, all of these and more can be achieved and deliver sustainable competitive advantages. And I like to distill them down into something simplistic that everyone can relate to. How agile are you? Agility, a differentiated experience, and a cost leadership position, meaning you can do more with less. Let's talk about your success in leveraging data to improve your network. What we're finding is that the telcos are much more adept at collecting network data than they are data about their customer. So here you'll see, roughly 65% of the telcos feel that they're rather adept at collecting network-related data. All right, and then when you segue to information about the customer, you see, down to 43%. So when you think about that, I encourage you to get thought to what could we do to understand more about our customers, correlate the network, what's going on in the network, to what's going on with our customer experience. Data lakes is a strategy that can be employed. The problem with data lakes, maybe you've heard the term garbage in, garbage out. Well, when you think about it, how effective are your data lakes working for you if you are indeed employing them? What we're hearing and finding is that it's difficult to extract the data, that's required. And there's challenges in, finding the data, extracting it, formatting it in a way that it could be used by whether it be members of your cross-functional team or correlating interfacing systems. Siloed systems, again, we see a lot of siloed systems, and I would encourage you to reflect and give thought to how many systems do we have in our company in providing service delivery to our clients. And when you think about that, you can quickly realize, when you look at this, roughly 50% of the CSPs, the telcos, are not all that effective in leveraging their data that they have in their BSS, OSS. So what are some of the barriers? Lack of a consistent data model. When you have disparate siloed systems, you'll have repetitive data, a customer record in a CRM system, in a billing system, for example. Well, who owns the customer? So lack of a consistent data model. Lack of urgency in leveraging, what data is important. Having the expertise to actually collect and leverage the data. Dirty data, bad data is worse than no data, I would argue. And you really need to make certain that you've got the data governance and policy management in place to assure data is protected, that it does not fall into the wrong hands, but as well as assure the people that need the data can get the data. And this is a slide from, this graph is from TM Forum, and it speaks to internal rules. Certainly they apply, but we're going to talk about data sharing, and the communication providers really need to get thought to with all the vast amounts of data that we have. What data might we want to share amongst each other to further advance the communications and service offerings that over-the-top providers might be able to offer by us sharing data. So with that, we're going to segue to the transformation roadmap. So we're going to talk about a convergent solution. We have one we call Symphony, as Teresa had referenced. And it truly is a single stack BSS OSS revenue management solution. You can leverage it for your wholesale channel. Generally speaking, what we find are carriers have a different system for their wholesale channel versus their retail channel versus their interconnect and settlement processing. With this system, you can have one system to support all your channels. And you'll see some visuals in terms of ultimately your inside agent experience. I'm not going to dwell on this particular slide, but these are some high-level modules, that exist within Symphony, a convergent solution. So when you look at an over-the-top or convergent solution, your CRM, configure, price, quote, inventory management, for your CPE gear, provisioning and activation, your carrier management processes. Mediation and rating, mediation in particular, where the world is going with data sharing, back to that World Series award that we won, it was all about data sharing. And the world is just extremely excited about, telcos opening up and looking at what data can we share, to further advance communications to, people around the world. And the Symphony platform, obviously there's business intelligence and analytics and self-service portal. Any system that you look at, we talk about scale, back to some of the other concerns and challenges that you face. You need to have an operations framework, as opposed to just a software system. How do you operate it? Can you operate it with just, a small number of people as opposed to, 5 or 10 people? Because all of that translates into cost and time. So with a system like what I just shared with you, Symphony, just imagine having all of this data natively integrated out of the box. All in one big data, single database. But that can be achieved, and it has been achieved, and it can work in conjunction with investments that you've made. And we're going to I'm going to segue now to strategies of how you might transition to your siloed data streams today to something like this as an all-inclusive sort of approach. So what approaches might you want to consider? A new line of business with 4G, 5G. There's a plethora of new line of businesses that providers are looking to offer. Everybody's looking to get into the service business. Are you prepared to be able to enable that? Look at maybe perhaps making a strategic decision where we're going to put all new customers and invest all development for new products and services onto a convergent single stack solution. Another option is a la carte. Symphony is a modular system. You want to look for a modular system with defined open APIs, whether it be RESTful APIs or SOAP APIs, or industry standard APIs. Another strategy is to focus on the customer partner-facing experience modules. Maybe you focus on a business unit or a region. Or you do a full stack lift and shift. That's an option as well. So there's a lot of different options, and I'm going to delve into them now. So a new line of business. How long does it take you to launch a new product or service or a new line of business today? Well, with a convergent platform, things like IoT, SD-WAN, NFV, we're seeing carriers are now looking to get out from under their legacy siloed systems. And in Europe, they're actually creating sub-brands, a completely brand new brand using a convergent platform to launch new products and services. And so the benefits to you are, agility. You can launch new products and services very, very quickly. It's low cost, low risk. You can do new products and services right the first time, providing a zero-touch customer experience. And, with it, you can also join other over-the-top ecosystems for new services. So for example, Ring, Google Nest, security cameras and monitoring. There's really no limit to what you can join if you have a convergent platform that you can quickly configure and enable, rate and bill for new products and services. You can enable new distribution channels, and you can integrate with, hybrid environments, cloud environments, or your own premise-based infrastructure. And I got a story to tell. Everybody loves a story. As a testimonial to this. In the United States, we launched a nationwide MVNO inside of 3 months. So this is greenfield. They had nothing. We integrated with AT&T, Verizon, and 2 regional carriers. Inside of 90 days and less than $30,000, they were live, selling data services nationwide, providing carrier agnostic capabilities to sell the right data service based upon where the customer is located. Today, they're in less than 11 months, they're at $1 million a month run rate. So that's a testament to a converged platform, what you can do, how quickly you can do it, and at such a low price point. So proof of concepts are easy. There's no reason not to pursue a proof of concept for a new line of business with a convergent platform like a Symphony. So new customers, maybe you make a decision to bring, going forward, we're going to put all new customers and all new products and services on a convergent platform. So what that means is you're going to achieve a high digital customer experience rate right out of the gate for your new customers. You're not going to spend money, time and money, large amounts of money developing new products and services on the legacy. You make that investment on the convergent. You don't throw away what you have. Ultimately, on the back end, what you could do is you could still offer a single bill where there could be a feed from a convergent system like Symphony to your legacy billing system to provide a single bill in the event the new customer wants some of the legacy products, or your legacy billing could provide a feed to Symphony, and Symphony would provide a single convergent bill to the customer. The benefits are numerous, but transformative experience. You're going to grow your base because ultimately customers are going to be delighted working with you, and they're going to spread the word. And instead of discussing the churn challenges that you're facing, you'll be delighted by the growth that you're seeing in the marketplace. You're going to reduce your product development time and cost, and you're taking that first step towards a complete transformation. Another Symphony a la carte. Teresa and I were discussing this yesterday. Again, we recognize that you've invested, hundreds of thousands or millions in your legacy systems. Maybe you want to replace a particular module. And that can be done because it's an open API architecture. And you can coexist with your existing infrastructure, fill any gaps that you might have within your existing infrastructure, but begin to take that step, towards advanced analytics to, better correlate your customer data. And here's an example of another use case, a la carte. We had a client in Eastern Europe, a large government-owned telco, roughly $100 million carrier. And they had a front end that was capturing their data records off of their Nokia data switches. Their license, they let their license lapse, and they turned to us. And this is where my carrier background as well as our technology background comes into play. We immediately mobilized the same day and established connectivity to the data switches. So no data would be lost because you do not have unlimited data on a switch. We had no PO, no contract, meaning there's no guarantee we would get paid. But I communicated with the CEO, and this is where it speaks to us as a partner, where we're flexible and easy to do business with. I provided him a not to exceed proposal via email, not to exceed 15,000 euros. Would you like us to proceed? Yes, please do. And I'm really delighted and just really happy and pleased to share with you that I actually only charged 8,700 euros. It resulted in over $1 million in actual revenues captured that would have been lost. We did this in less than 30 days. So you can imagine going to one of your technology providers and sharing this with them. Could they achieve that? Would they be willing to do that? So this is an a la carte experience. And then, by the way, we saved them 300,000 euros annually. So that's an example of an a la carte, use case, back to one of the transformation modes that you might want to consider. It can be done, and it has been done. Another transformation consideration is focus on the customer, as well as partner. We're starting to see, especially outside, especially in the North American and the European region, an incredible investment in the partner experience as well, growing their distribution channels, channel development. So focus on what the customer sees. So transition all your customer and partner experience to a convergent solution. So you have, self-service management, zero touch, configure, price, quote, sign orders, ultimately renewals, analytics and data visualization, your product catalog, rating, billing, payment, anything that the customer touches, focus on that. Things like your network inventory, you leave that alone. Your provisioning and workflow, you leave that alone. Trouble ticketing, that could go either way because you want to expose trouble ticketing to your customers via the self-service portal, but that could be achieved via API from a Symphony self-service to your legacy ticketing system. That's not a problem. But focus on what the customer sees and touches. And again, you can provide analytics to the customer. You really need to be thinking about, instead of just using the data to manage your accounts, rate and bill them, how might the data you have help them in the service that they're providing? And you'll see some examples where we visualize customer data. Another consideration is you transition a business unit or a region, maybe one of your markets on a different island. We'll target maybe a smaller one out of the gate, just to, again, kind of a proof of a concept, right? But transition a business unit onto that platform. And the beauty of that platform, because it supports multi-markets, multi-currency, that could be the stepping stone. You create the product in that platform for, let's just say St. Thomas. And now we're ready to transition Trinidad onto the platform. Well, you've already got the product configured. Now you just maybe have a different price point for the Trinidad region. So it's really an on-ramp for you, where you could do it a business unit at a time, as opposed to, all or nothing. So you minimize your risk. You can leverage your lessons learned. You have a smaller data migration, and you're going to begin to realize the benefits, more quickly. And then the last is really a full stack, lift and shift. This, is one where you look at all the capabilities that your convergent platform can provide, and then you chart a strategy. You invest the time upfront in defining the strategy, the roadmap on how you're going to transition. It's a longer project. While there are increased risks, it does, it shows a commitment by the executive team to the organization that we're serious about truly transforming our business. Please understand, there's no one size fits all when we talk about transformation. It's a matter of what's your vision, what's your strategy, for your business, and then plotting a roadmap to get you there. So what are some of the differentiators of such a transformation to a convergent platform? This represents the screen when you log into a convergent system like Symphony, but single sign-on to legacy external systems. You need to have a platform, again, that's open and scalable. There's always going to be external systems you need to get to. So you want a platform that provides that accessibility where you have single sign-on from, you can go to your convergent platform, but you can still get to your other legacy systems that you might have. Data sharing, and these are in really the order. I've got a lot of visuals that I'm going to share with you. But with a convergent platform, data sharing becomes easy, both internally and externally. You recall I mentioned, one system for all your channels, regions, wholesale, retail, a true digital experience, for your customers, where they self-administer rather than burdening your call center team with setting up their user ID and password, or the customer calling in. They can do it all themselves, get real-time, get information in real time, which is what they really want. I mean, they don't want to be calling. Market region expansion, with multi-currency, you'll see some visuals on that. Examples of dashboard analytics. When you have all of the data, if you reference back to that funnel in a single platform, analytics are made easy, artificial intelligence, machine learning, agility in launching new products and services, a cost leadership position, and differentiation across the business. These are just high-level differentiators that you can expect by taking that first step and making a transformation, leveraging a convergent single stack architecture. Let's talk about data sharing. I don't know what your thoughts are, but obviously we were all affected significantly around the world with the COVID pandemic. And I argue it truly was a wake-up call with regards to social awareness for all industries, the telco industry in particular, because of, again, back to the vast amount of data and how valuable the data is that you're capturing. The emergency response centers across the world, were greatly stressed. Big data is really crucial. What data could you provide to your government to assist in the decision making? All the while, you need to assure you've got privacy and trust enabled, that policy governance in place. And the telcos, you can and must be key contributors. How can I help? Work with CARFA, CHA in the United States, CDC. Here's the type of data that we have. Would this be useful to you? And you'll see some examples here momentarily. Be able to provide heat maps on where people might be gathering, perhaps where people are from around the world that are gathering, right? And certainly you must deal with, there's edge computing. How do you achieve it? There's a lot of different ways to, capture the data, but taking that large transformational step with a convergent platform, with the carrier-grade mediation platform, with the means to export the data to provide and deliver to the powers that be that need that data, is how all of you can truly be socially aware and help with regards to the pandemic. I know that everybody offers things like free phones and data service, whether it be things like a hurricane, but really give thought to how might I leverage the data I have to benefit the CANTO region. So here's an example. This is not all relevant to just the COVID, all right? But and I recognize this might be an eye test, but you want to be able to capture, how many organizations am I sharing with data space operators? Here we're reflecting the number of roamers. How many today? Number of roamers, from regions around the world, right? Roamers by carrier. So being able to capture the data, visualize the data, share the data with data space operators. Are there any alerts? You can set machine learning alerts, based upon some triggers. That's all extremely powerful and easy when you have all the data in a single platform. You need to be able to easily receive data as well. So sharing is a two-way street. You're sharing, you're pushing data, but you want to be able to receive and benefit from that data as well, right? So where you have a platform where you can easily, without a developer or an engineer having to develop anything and wait months and spend tens of thousands of dollars, a platform that can ingest data, automatically take a data file, an ASCII or delimited file, and just systematically determine, okay, this is the format. Then you can ingest and actually do something with that data. And then likewise, you need to be able to export the data so you can share it both internally and externally. All of that can be achieved easily with the convergent platform. So what I'm talking about really is building the foundation to enable the sharing of data, both sending and receiving the data. Now I want to segue quickly into some screenshots with I mentioned wholesale. You notice, pay attention here. The only difference on the user interface for wholesale versus retail is this icon right here. So reseller customers. You go to the next, so this is a Canada telco, and you see a roll up. This could be an MVNO, a reseller. Accounts by service type, there could be dollars associated with it, but all of this customer information is the same you see when you get to a retail billing account. Customer portal, I mentioned transformation differentiators is the customer experience. So here you see examples of analytics there for your actual customer. You don't want to administer it for them, they self-administer. Enterprise accounts demand and expect and need CRM-like capabilities. Can you do that today? With a convergent platform, you can't. They self-administer it, you do not. And again, it results in less calls to the call center and a more delightful customer experience. Here's an example of providing analytics to your actual customer. The usage, the trends, how many active SIMs do they have? Activations, deactivations. So give thought to how your customers might benefit from the data. Another consideration is with the data that you are receiving, are you receiving all the data that you need? Maybe you need to reverse engineer, and in particular when it comes to data, IoT data, customers want to know what their daily data is. So here we're representing it where they have carrier diversity. Here's usage by day where we're actually calculating it because the carrier provides a month-to-date usage balance, 500K, 750K tomorrow, get a meg, the following day. Well, a customer wants to see because they're providing mission critical services over these IoT devices. So if there's a blip where it goes down to 0, that can mean the device is offline, right? When they're providing mission critical services like to oil rigs, I know in the Trinidad region, there's quite a few oil rigs offshore. So some of you certainly are targeting the oil vertical. Having the means to, again, not only take the data that's given to you, but to reverse engineer and extrapolate, what's actually going on a day-to-day basis is critical, and it's a key differentiator. Executive level dashboards are easy. So this is something that members of your executive team, the number of accounts, active accounts, services. How many users in my call center are actually active right now? I've got 350 working, but only 255 on. Why might that be, right? Tickets, alerts. How are we doing with churn? The churn by class of service. We argue that visualizing your data a picture's worth 1,000 words, and it truly is true. And this is something that we present at the TM Forum, where we segmented France into regions, and they can be color-coded based upon service availability, service coming, service not available, what have you. Your partner data, your services, where they're located. And with something like this, you might say, well, wait, you know, a little bit Southeast France, we're a little light on carrier or customer penetration. But you know what? We don't have a partner in that region. So you can quickly and easily make decisions. So visualize your traffic. If any of you are offering 800 traffic to your customers, do you think they'd benefit from understanding the inbound traffic from regions of the world, right? Correlate that with marketing, promotions, or perhaps maybe there was a problem with their service, so the call volume went up. So you want a platform that has, you know, mapping for the world contained in it, where you can drill down to any level. Here's a metro area for a fiber-based internet provider in the United States, representing where fiber high-speed internet is available. So now I want to breeze through quite a few dashboards, and please don't get caught up in how fast I'm blowing through these. The message here is these things are easy to create when you have all, back to that funnel of data, all of that data in a single system. It's very quick and easy to put things like this together. You know, this is an example of a billing dashboard. You know, current balance, you know, aging receivables, billed revenues, you know, usage, credits, adjustments. You know, ARPU based upon service type, IPTV, circuit, mobile, SD-WAN, internet. Revenues by billing cycle. And you have unlimited billing cycles. So you can have vertical centric billing cycles, you can have day centric billing cycles. Here's another example of a financial dashboard. You know, it provides an executive summary. Adjustment history. Another financial dashboard with services by switch, status, account numbers, account number by location. So being able to overlay things on a map, it really paints a picture. And again, back to the data sharing, you're really only limited by your imagination. Here's a nice roaming dashboard, associated roaming revenues, counts, you know, from different region, top carriers, roaming in your market. And all of those can assist members of your roaming organization as they negotiate your roaming agreements, you know, with carriers around the world. Inbound metrics, usage statistics. Here's an example of package management. So you can configure the product I mentioned, a business unit or a region at a time, US, European, this could be Trinidad, this could be St. Thomas, whatever regions you're in. And when a person goes to make a change, they don't need to reference a business intelligence platform. Systematically, they know, because the system tells them, the active service count and the associated revenues. And if you have multi-currencies, you would see that as well, the multi-currencies. I mentioned unlimited billing cycle, you know, trial billing, ticketing. Don't really want to dwell on these. Here's an example of carrier management and, you know, with data governance. So back to data sharing. So ultimately, you could create government entities under your carrier management for your data governance and policy management. So that I'm going to wrap up here so we can segue to questions, Teresa. You know, so at the end of the day, hopefully what you saw excites you, but transformation requires action. you maybe heard the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It could not be more true, right? And it really requires taking that, leap of faith, that, creating that vision for your business and creating that transformation roadmap, getting all the stakeholders on board, partner with your technology providers, partner with your internal stakeholders, get concurrence and agreement on the plan, and go out and execute. I can guarantee you there's high returns, low cost, and low risk approaches to get you there. The market's only speeding up, it's not slowing down. Demands and expectations continue to grow exponentially. And it really does take a sense of urgency. Instead of talking about it, I can tell you that IntegraTouch, we're here, ready, willing, and able to discuss, collaborate with you. No obligations, of course. Just to learn about your challenges. What have you tried in the past? Maybe it didn't work. Maybe why it failed. But I encourage all of you, to stop following and start leading. Let's make communications. When you look at COVID and the ability to work anywhere in the world, no longer tethered to an office, the beautiful climate that I feel warmer just talking to you all. It's snow here in Ohio, but the sunshine in the Caribbean. I love the Caribbean region. And, let's advance communications. All of you are key. You're going to be the catalyst to advance and further communications in the region. And I can guarantee you take the step, you will have agility, you will have a cost leadership, and you will have a differentiated position. So with that, how could IntegraTouch serve you? Free transformation consultations. We're offering discounted pricing for the CANTO region. We can do demos, we can do trials. You can have it your way, software as a service, on-premise, a hybrid on-prem, as well as in the cloud. A barrier to you making change, you may say, well, licensing, I can't afford upfront capital for licensing. We remove that hurdle. I don't require an upfront license. I'll do it as a service. Save your capital to invest in your network, to further upgrade your communications infrastructure that will service the CANTO region. We'd love to be your integration partner. We know billing and operations, but independent of Symphony, we can make what you have, the investment that you have, run better, faster, more affordably. One last use case, we had a client who was using Oracle BRM in the United States. They went through a large merger. The company that they merged with had 100 people supporting, maybe 5-10 million customers. Billing and operations, for what I had 5 people doing it with. Well, guess who took that business, right? So obviously we believe in the convergent architecture of Symphony, but we can also make what you have, help you optimize it and begin to take that step, towards transformation. It doesn't have to be a change. We can make what you have better. So we do offer we offer consulting services and managed operation services. And this challenge down below here, with would you like to save $500 to $1 million annually? That can easily be achieved through transformation efforts. So we're here to help you and the CANTO region. So with that, Teresa, I'm going to turn it back over to you for questions, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin. That was so great. I love the part about all the data analytics and the dashboards, and we will certainly take you up on that offer. So for the discount for CANTO members, as well as the free consultation. But just some questions. I have one question from the audience, but I have this burning question I want to ask you, Kevin. How about companies that are not taking that transformation step, waiting too long to make that decision? How do these companies compete? Can you go a little bit into that for us? Tell us about why it is so important for companies to make that step.
Well, you need to think about what you cannot control, right? The government, the regulatory. If they make a decision that you must open up the market for alternatives, competition breeds innovation in a marketplace. And what we're seeing around the world is regulatory, they're insisting. Canada, these discussions are going on right now in Canada. You need to open up. Okay, you need to make your network, your services available to resellers. All right, so you risk, being replaced, obsolescence, if you don't take that step. You want to be in control. You want to control your destiny. And it really starts, and I, in a conversation like that, I look to understand, why haven't you taken that step? What are the roadblocks? You need to understand the why before you can get to, you need to address the why to be able to move it forward. So, change is going to occur whether you embrace it or not. So I'm a proponent of embrace it, and let's get out in front of it.
Yes, and the pandemic has taught us that in no uncertain terms. So I have a question from Leo from SpeedNet in Belize. Hello, Kevin. I heard you mention many times TM Forum. Can you explain how this has helped in telco cloud? I guess what he's asking about telco and the cloud services. How has TM Forum helped you guys in bringing CANTO, well, not CANTO necessarily, but telco services to the cloud?
Well, in TM Forum, what I love about TM Forum is their mission is similar to CANTO in terms of improving communications. Yes. All right, and it's really about basically, making the connection between the carriers, the telcos, the CSPs, and the technology providers, right? And then they have these, they call them catalyst events, where it forces collaboration amongst the carriers, the telcos, and the technology providers. And as you mentioned earlier, the best innovation, we collaborated with Orange and Vodafone. They brought the problem to our attention. So, TM Forum helps us by, we're getting, the carriers are talking to us. They're sharing with us their pains, their challenges, their needs, right? And then we, as a technology provider, we work with them in terms of, here's how we might go about solving that problem. It's an agile sort of approach to solving an industry problem. And that data sharing, I fully expect ultimately, so there will be a 2022 version of that. And, ultimately, I believe on the horizon, there will be a service offering around data sharing, quite frankly.
Okay, so I like, Kevin, that you're a family-oriented company. That makes you very, very agile, I would think. And also, it gives your customers a more personal touch. But I'm sure telcos on this call, this webinar, will be wondering, what's your sustainability strategy for the region, and particularly CANTO region? We are we're small island developing states. Numbers don't compare with larger populations. So what's your strategy for staying in the region, in this CANTO region?
Okay, so our strategy for staying in the region, our strategy actually is to grow our presence in the region, Teresa, and I appreciate that question. So with CANTO, with our membership, being more strategically aligned with the CANTO Association, right? We do have we have resources around the world, United States, Europe, South America. We are in the process of bringing our first resource into the Caribbean area. And then we have partner relationships, that we're pursuing to keep pace with any demand relative to implementation and migration, onto a platform such as Symphony. And again, it really comes down to we're really looking to get actively involved in CANTO. I understand the general meeting occurs in February. We definitely want to be a part of that. I'm looking to work very closely with you and form a relationship, with members of CANTO. Listen, to the challenges and how we might help. But I can assure you, with advancement and transformation efforts improving integration and automation with what you currently have, that in and of itself is a first step,
Yes.
right? So it's all about improving service offerings in the CANTO region, reducing costs, improving the profitability. So it's a multi-pronged approach, involvement, additional resource presence in the region, partnership relationships with, consultancy firms, that could assist as needed.
Excellent. So can we talk a little bit about the impact of the pandemic and declining margins for telcos, and what companies are doing to maintain their profits, and how Integra Touch can help?
Yeah, so with the declining margin, it is a real problem. And, it's a matter of, so there's technology investments, things like 4G, okay, that's, your cost in providing that service decline with 4G, but you got to have the capital to make the investment in 4G. So it's a chicken egg sort of a deal.
Yes.
But, so with declining margin, you also need to give thought to, how can I grow my customer base, right? You can differentiate yourself with the customer experience. If you have declining margin, but your customers are growing, it can be, it can more than offset any decline in margin. Through integration, automation, a convergent platform, being able to launch a new product or service, in a month or two versus, 6 to 12 months, you look at the cost savings. So I would encourage every organization to really look at, what's our business strategy? Where are our costs? How might I leverage technology? How might I leverage a convergent platform like a Symphony to take costs out of the business, recognizing the old way of I got to pay a large upfront license fee, to make that transition. You don't need to do that with Integra Touch and with Symphony. You can do that on a pay-as-you-go basis, as opposed to that large upfront capital, and you haven't even achieved anything yet, right? That's a barrier. I know it's a barrier. We hear it's a barrier for carriers, taking that first step because they've got declining margins, right? They need to invest in the network. Okay, I've already invested millions in what I have, and now you're telling me to go, grab this alternative system. I'm here to tell you, you can continue the investment in 4G, drive the improvement in integration, operations, scale, do more with less, and make that transition to a convergent platform with no upfront capital. The cloud doesn't even require you to buy the infrastructure upfront. You don't pay for it until you turn it up. So those are all approaches that we recommend when engaging with a client.
Okay. What about transformative OTT resellers, VNOs? What if they start opening up in your present market? How can we handle those, and how can telcos prepare for those?
Well, I think ultimately the way to prepare is it's going to happen. Okay, again, regulatory is going to insist that it's going to happen. All right. So yes. So on the one hand, if you have excess capacity on your network, ultimately you look at how can you be. Why would an MVNO want to do business with you? Okay, if you've got, so think of that as a distribution channel for you. Okay, maybe you're selling bandwidth and voice at a discounted rate, but you've got idle capacity. Why not utilize it and tap it? Okay, so now the MVNO has a choice. Do I go with the incumbent A or incumbent B? What do you think that, aside from price, they're going to look at? Well, what kind of BSS, OSS, and customer experience are you going to enable and provide me? All right, so it's going to happen. You want to be an enabler for it to happen. You want the MVNOs to use your network, okay, consume and pay for the excess capacity on your network. Use the tools that you have in you, but yourself get the benefit of the customer experience, transformative customer experience, where ideally you want to keep your higher margin retail accounts, enterprise accounts, because of the superior service that you're providing. So they're actually very, very complementary.
Kevin,
you make that step
running
for
out
transformation.
of time. Yes, but I have to ask you this question, which applies to a lot of the telcos in the region. So for small and medium-sized companies looking to transform, where would you recommend is the best place to start?
The customer experience, the customer facing systems, right? What does the customer see, feel, touch, look at? All right, the quality of service in the network, the carriers, I mean, that's the bread and butter, so that's always taken care of. And again, back to the slide earlier, we're capturing network data is way ahead. It's like close to 65% versus the mid 40s for customer data. So I would start with the customer facing, the customer experience, customer self-service. That's where I would start. But there's a lot of things that you can do in parallel. I would look at what can I do to also begin to take costs out of my business through integration and operations, even within my legacy infrastructure that I currently have.
And that's why that free consultation to CANTO members is of importance, so you can guide them in the process. Yes. So
yes, exactly.
Kevin, I'm so sorry we're out of time. Questions, if you have any other questions, please forward them to the CANTO team and we'll ensure that they are being answered. Thank you so much, Kevin. I just have a little announcement to make before wrapping up. So attendees, speakers, everyone, Kevin, Integra Touch, thank you all for your time this morning. This, as you know, is our last edition of CANTO Conversations for 2021. As we go into December and prepare for the joyous holiday season, remember that CANTO is your partner in building a robust ICT ecosystem in the region. So mark your calendars and join us for AGM on the 10th and 11th of February 2022. Our focus will be on enabling the digital evolution. This is an excellent opportunity to learn from experts in the industry and to network with the telco influencers in the region. So please contact us for further information, and thank you so much. Remember, you can work from anywhere. Stay safe and stay connected with CANTO, your partners in digital transformation. Thank you so much.